The traits of good leaders that we'll examine now are both related to talent. In an earlier episode, we noted that leadership is both a talent and a skill. Talent is something that one is born with, while a skill is learned. But let me be clear. While someone may be born with a talent to do a thing, like play a musical instrument or compete in athletics, it begins pretty raw. Coaching and practice hone talent and make it more effective. Experience turns raw talent into something more refined. While skills are learned, the ability to learn and excel in a skill is inherent in an individual. Some people can learn skills, others can't. As I said before, good leaders come to their task with a talent to lead, but then add numerous skills to that talent. A potentially great leader begins with talent, but if he or she is lazy and doesn't learn any skills, that potential will never be realized. A person put into the position of being a leader who possesses a little talent can still become a competent leader by learning the skills of good leadership. Leadership is like art. A workman can study and learn the principles of composition and color. He or she can reproduce a piece of fine art by meticulously copying the masterpiece. But only a master artist can conceptualize the original, transferring their mental vision onto canvas. One author on this intuitive nature of great leaders to lead titled one of his classics, Leadership Jazz, because that's the idea. Jazz musicians get into the music as it gets into them. They're carried along by the flow. They intuit it. Good leaders do the same. They have an intuitive talent to know what ought to be done and how to do it. Now, this is not to say that those who aren't particularly talented to lead can't be competent, even good leaders. They can. By studying and learning from great leaders, they can develop the habits and skills that make for productive leadership. And importantly, sheer talent divorced from learned skills often leads to disaster because of a lack of discipline. What makes a talented leader excel is when she or he harnesses their talent to specific skills that direct their energy into safe and productive ends. I think we've all seen leaders who rose to their position by virtue of promotion. Being the boss is often a reward for being a good employee. And many organizations will promote people who are good workers. The idea that prevails in many organizations is that you keep getting promoted to the level of your incompetence. Many have made it to supervisor, manager, foreman, or lead because they were good workers. That doesn't mean they're good leaders. And so they're promoted no higher. If their inability to lead hurts the organization, they're often fired, which is unfortunate since if they had instead been returned to their most productive place, they'd have been a great asset to the organization. But most people's egos can't handle what they regard as a demotion. Great leaders have an inner inclination to lead. That's what often gets them started. What separates the great from the good is that the great recognize that talent can only take them so far. They also need to develop the skills to lead. They need to increase their capacity to communicate. They need new tools in their leadership toolbox to deal with different people and different situations. Remember, leaders have a leader's mind, so they're always looking for ways to enhance their ability and help others achieve their potential. In 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 5, we find this, quote, "Also for this very reason, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue, knowledge." And on the list goes. The idea is that we are to add virtue to virtue as we grow, while the leader adds skill to skill as he or she grows. Studies reveal that on the whole, good leaders are readers. They read across a wide front, knowing that they're going to glean insights from fields well beyond the scope of their vision and their work. They also tend to hang out with people who challenge them and shake up their routines. While good leaders spend time, a lot of it, with their own team, when it's their own time, they tend to hang out with people like them. That is, other good leaders. Well, we're going to turn now and talk about the far more important issue of talent versus character. Talent can gather a crowd. Only character can keep it. Some gifted, highly talented leaders blow up because their charisma isn't backed up by integrity. Nothing can replace character when it comes to the trust that's central to the leader-follower relationship. Any and all meaningful relationships are built on trust. Without it, people may be acquaintances, but they won't have the relational cement to forge the mutuality necessary to make something productive. Trust is built slowly, but lost quickly. And once lost, it's doubly difficult to restore. Leaders who live off mere talent are able to attract followers by their charisma or the inspiring vision that they cast. But it doesn't take long before people see the holes in their character and that leader doesn't have the personal discipline to sustain the mission, to sustain the drive necessary to make the vision a reality. History is filled with leaders who make a flash, but then disappear in the smoke of burning dreams. The leader's good character is crucial. He must be trustworthy. It bears repeating, trust is built slowly, but lost quickly. So what does a leader who errs do? What does he do when a decision that he makes go awry, as will eventually happen, even for the best leaders? Simple. Admit it. Don't dodge responsibility. Don't excuse the error. Don't play it down. Don't blame it on someone else. Own it. Look at those affected by the failure. Look at them and own it. Then learn what you can from it, adjust, and move on. Turn failures into lessons. But for heaven's sake, don't shift the blame to someone else. Accepting responsibility for mistakes and bad decisions is something that, when done honestly, can build rather than destroy trust. People are fond of saying, well, no one's perfect. But do people get specific about when and where with their imperfection? The leader doesn't deal with failure by saying, well, no one's perfect. That's a dodge. It's a way of saying, I messed up, but none of you have the right to throw the first stone. Integrity means saying, I made this decision and it was the wrong one. I erred. I made a mistake. I apologize and ask that you would forgive me. I will try to do better next time. Here's what this has taught me. Now, much more could and should be said about a leader's character, about their integrity. Let me distill it to this. A leader's character needs to be deeper and more solid than its public expression. She or he needs to have more under the hood than the paint job promises. You ever seen one of those cars that's been all tricked out with a premium paint job, a spoiler, custom exhaust, running lights? But all the money's gone into the cosmetics. All it has is a 1.4-liter engine and stock transmission. It takes half a minute to go from 0 to 60. The leader needs more under the hood than the paint job promises. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said that public displays of piety, not backed up by private prayer, fasting, and charity, may fool man, but not God, because he sees when no one else does. And it's the nature of what's done in the dark to come out in the light. The leader who only cultivates an image of integrity but doesn't deliver it on it daily is a disaster waiting to happen. Again, talent can draw a crowd and get them moving with an inspiring vision. Only the solid character of the leader can keep them moving over the long haul and when things get hard, when they get difficult. As we end this episode, I want to say many thanks to those who have subscribed to the Into His Image YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, would you please do so, like this video, and let others know. Thanks.